I've been getting call after call after call from families that are having to sell their houses. And what's the biggest thing? Taxes.
The perils of property taxes taking a toll on Tamara Ransom. She bought her Winter Haven home last May, but less than a year later, it's on the market after receiving an unwelcome surprise.
I felt like I'd been baited and switched. When you buy a house, I see the taxes at $2,700. I expect it'll vary a little bit, a few hundred, $1,000, but in no way did I expect it would go up 174%.
This is becoming the silent killer of the middle class, and I've wanted to talk about it because the media will not talk about these things, and if they do, it's after the fact and it's too late.
Definitely a buyer beware type of a situation.
And says single-family homes in the city are seeing an average increase of about $1,200 to $1,300 on their bill. Even across the state, assessed values are increasing anywhere from 12% up to 60%, according to the city.
It is shocking at the rate in which local municipalities are raising property tax on people. I'm going to stream by some of the articles and just a quick search that has been of what I've been finding. It's like 24 hours, last 7 days, last 20 days, 24 days, 30 days, article after article after article. If you search for it,
the adjustments that were there were very difficult, knowing the personal impact it would have on property owners.
The local news agencies are starting to have to admit that these taxes are going up between 10 and 30% on some people. And not everybody filed for their homestead exemption. They bought a new house, they waited around and they forgot about it, and then their taxes got reassessed.
Many new homeowners faced this sticker shock when they received their trim notices with their new assessed home value. Those bills were due at the end of March.
You have been doing what you can to try to make this work.
It's very upsetting because I put most of my savings into the house, the down payment and the things, alarm systems and things like that. And I'm losing all of that because I have to sell the house and I'm not going to get really anything back. And then I have to look for a new house.
As property values went up, we saw municipalities saying, you know what, I can put my hand in that pot now. We are going to raise and reassess, raise and reassess, raise and reassess. And so many people escrow their mortgage. They escrow their property tax, their insurance. And when these things pop all of a sudden, their monthly payment goes up $200, $300, $400 a month out of nowhere. And for most of the middle class families, that is a lot to digest. It's like they turn on a pot of water and they slowly turn the heat up on you until finally you look up 2 or 3 years from now and you're like, wait a minute, I can't afford any of this. How did taxes go up this much? My personal taxes went up. You're going to see these municipalities and these states change the millage rate. They're going to change everything they possibly can. The permits to be able to work on your property are going to go up. Everything to do with real estate and the government, it's going to go up.
As homeowners, I remember when I was under $1,000 a year, and now I'm well over $3,000 a year.
Longtime Floridians like Al Landgraf have seen firsthand the rising cost to insure their homes.
Sure.
That becomes very difficult when that market value is moving every single year, double-digit increases.
Look, real estate is just like a stack of dominoes. You cannot have too many reactions in the market at one time. It doesn't handle it very well. It's like pulling a string on the yarn ball, okay? When you pull that string and you don't quite know how it will unravel, you can unravel it into a mess. You're seeing it in Florida with the condo crisis that I've been talking about over and over and over again. The legislature thought they could fix one little minor thing and they created a landslide of other problems. And that's what's going to happen when you start raising taxes. Look, they did this in Atlanta years ago when they started building that stadium down there. They raised the taxes, the property taxes on the locals down there to get them out. That's what they tried to do. They used the tax code to get people to do things. And when they elevate the taxes incrementally to the point where the pot gets so hot nobody can stay inside of it, the people, the natives that lived there were forced to sell. And that's what happened. And this should scare everybody. And I keep saying, guard your money, watch your money, because if you don't, you won't have it. The pot will turn up so slowly that it will catch you off guard, and it's totally happening. If you bought a new build property in the last 2 or 3 years, you're going to get reassessed. You took a vacant piece of property, put a house on it, you were the first person to buy it, you're going to get reassessed. Your taxes are going to go up, and if your real estate agent did not tell you that your taxes could double, triple, or go up some crazy amount, and your mortgage payment is going to move if you escrow it because of the tax portion, and if you don't escrow it, you're going to receive a bill for the taxes that are way more than they were the year before. You better be planning on that, or you're going to start seeing brand new builds 2 years after the fact getting sold, and I'm already seeing it. They're getting sold because we didn't plan on those taxes. Your lender better forecast that. And if they're only forecasting it for a year to get rid of you, well, that's the game they play. So just be careful and cognitive of this. You know, it's shocking what the mainstream media does not cover. And that's the reason why so many social influencers, YouTubers are starting to cover the news, because they see these things. Like, I've been seeing this all around me, and it's like nobody's even talking about it. What about this? What about that? Why aren't people aware that in a year or two after buying a new build that their top property taxes are going to go up? Why is nobody paying attention to properties being reassessed? Look, in Escambia County, they're going to come through and reassess all these houses. And if you had a 2-1 and you've been paying taxes on a 2-1 that was $30,000, well, when they reassess you, your taxes are going to move. And you better be having, if your state has homestead exemption, if your state has any other exemptions for your property, you better make sure you're filing for these things and you do it correctly. And if you need a lawyer, get a lawyer. Consult a real estate agent. Consult somebody that knows something. I remember Samantha, when she bought her house, she never filed for homestead exemption in the state of Florida for 10 years. And she paid for that, but she didn't know. A lot of these things, people just don't know. The media is not going to tell you. The government is not going to tell you. A lot of people around you don't know these things. That's why you got to seek it out, find mentors on the internet or whoever it may be that know a little more, and go and figure it out. That's how I did everything. I backwards planned everything I did in life, from seeking out information, figuring it out myself. And that's why I have this channel to tell you guys what I learned, and hopefully it can help you. It's just to help educate and help the process of everything we're going through right now that nobody's telling us about. I mean, remember the last 3 years? That was a mess. Well, the next 3, 4, 5 years is going to be the fallout from that mess. And that's what we're trying to navigate. This is what we're trying to navigate. I believe all the rules that we have been following for finance, for real estate, for all these things have changed after what happened 2, 3 years ago. It's all changed, and you gotta find your way through this. State of Florida, with the condo crisis, go watch my videos on those. That is an absolute mess. Politicians have not figured out this is a mess, but they're slowly figuring it out. I sat through a meeting yesterday. That was absolute insanity. The assessments that was coming down on people. People are still buying these condos, not knowing that there's going to be assessments coming down. They don't know what questions to ask. They don't have the right real estate agent. They don't have the right attorney. And if you own these properties, you better be asking all these questions, because you're going to look up and be sitting on a $50,000 assessment, $200,000 assessment, $100,000 assessment, or you can't sell it because there's litigation on top of it and nobody will lend on it. These are real things that are happening. And this condo crisis is going to go into other states. Don't think Florida is the only one that's going to do this. You're going to see it all up and down the coast, any condo close to water, and then it's just going to reciprocate over to any condo in general. You better be watching about this, and you better take it serious. That's just my opinion on that. Hashtag not a lawyer. This is all just the first wave of all these things. You've got taxes going up, property taxes. You've got HOA dues going up across the board. Everybody's HOA bill is going to go up. If you're in a condominium dues are going up, okay? Your actual assessments, well, that's going to happen too. And don't think that these counties, these municipalities are not going to come in and start assessing random things. Oh, we need a sidewalk over here, assessment. Oh, we need a new park over here, assessment. We need a new public library, assessment. We need all these things that they can grab money from you. It's going to happen. So try not to be caught off guard, and make sure you know that you're susceptible to an assessment when you buy a property. Do the due diligence. Do your inspection. Then you add on top of this rising maintenance costs. Okay, look, it's 30% more or more to work on a house, to hire a contractor, to hire any type of professional help around that, an architect, an engineer, any of those things is more expensive. And this is the fallout of all of it. And the politicians are going to say, oh, well, It's more expensive to maintain the infrastructure, so we need to raise property taxes. And you're just going to see this over and over and over again. The American people are being squeezed at every angle. I've talked about all these ways. I mean, look at your trash bill. And most people say, oh, it only went up $10. Well, $10 between 50 and 60, that's a big increase. Electrical bill, water bill, cable bill, internet bill, on down the line, everything is more expensive. Look, when you have a house, there is a formula for everything in your house. $1 per square foot per year maintenance. Well, it's probably more than that now, because your refrigerator is more expensive to replace. Your roof is more expensive to replace. The wiring in your house is more expensive to replace. Everything is more expensive to replace. You are being squeezed to the point where it's going to break the middle class. The middle class, the backbone of America, is really based upon the equity in your house for the most part. And when people are slowly being squeezed out of their houses because of these crazy ideas, you've got to take note of this, because you're going to look up and it's going to end up happening to you. Even if you own your house outright and they raise the property taxes on you or the millage rate, or they figure out a way to do that, especially on a fixed income, that's what the condos are seeing. The fixed income people in condos are being caught off guard. I want you to comment down below if you are seeing this, what you're thinking about it. If you disagree with me, we need to have public discourse on these issues in order to figure them out. I mean, so many things have been changed over the years on social media by people arguing. Well, people wind up, not being friends anymore, but as long as the problem is worked out, you've got to argue with each other. And that's what I'm trying to get everybody to do. So comment down below if you think I'm right or wrong, and we'll go from there. I like hearing all your ideas, because sometimes it changes the way I think too. Not to mention how shocking some of these new policies, these tax codes that are coming out of the woodwork. And it's not necessarily the policy, it's the thought of the policy, how our society is changing slowly to say, hey, you know what? Unrealized gains are a question that we are putting forward now. There is nobody liquid enough, even at the top bracket, to be able to pay unrealized gains. Nobody will take the risk on accumulating property to have to pay unrealized gains, or capital gains rates that are just so high that it's not even fathomable that I would want to do real estate. Much less take a bad property with people stealing air conditioning units, fix it up, battle through all the pains of that to pay 44.9 or whatever % capital gains tax. That will not be something I will be doing, and I hope that it never passes. But the idea that that is okay is in our society, and that is scary. That is very scary. When you talk about money and politics, they go together, because so much of these questions come from what the taxes are going to be, what type of line a political party is going to do. And as a real estate investor, as somebody that tries to plan my own finances, it is tough when the ball keeps moving. When you go from red to blue, the ball constantly moves. Your taxes change. Your plan on long-term holds and long-term rentals, all these things change because they force you to do different things in the economy with the tax code. The government does not build houses. Investors go out there, take the risk in order to provide housing for people. So when you hear politicians say, we're going to build 3 million new houses, no, they're going to incentivize somebody else to build 3 million houses. Or we're going to give $25,000 in down payments for first-time home buyers. Well, builders already do that, okay? Builders out there building houses, they're incentivizing, hey, we'll give you a $25,000 credit or whatever. We'll give you a buy down. We'll give you this. We'll give you that. And all based upon how the government said, hey, yeah, if you make X amount of houses, we'll give you this. Tax break, this, that, the other. Like all these things. And if you think that you're not going to, if the government does do it through a tax credit or whatever, when you pump $25,000 into a market, everything else goes up by $25,000. You are inflating the amount of dollars out there in order to chase an asset, which makes the asset that much more expensive. Some of these policies, I went on a tangent on my page the other day about these policies. Everybody's like, oh, well, it's just for 100 million people with $100 million or more. That's who owns all these properties. Okay, like the S&P 500, like 2/3 is owned by the top 1%. When they have to sell to pay their taxes, what do you think is going to happen? It's going to come down on the middle class. It's going to crush the middle class through jobs loss, through home equity price loss, because they're liquidating all these giant properties. Everything, you can't knee-jerk a economy like this. It takes time. It takes slow roll. The bouncing ball in real estate goes very slow. It does not work with drastic change. And it's not necessarily the policies, it's the ideas behind the policies that will slowly turn America into you will own nothing. Go down the rabbit hole of cars in the future. I was looking at an article the other day, I think I'm gonna do a video on this. By 2030, that 20% of people in America will own a car. It'll just become so expensive between insurance, taxes, tag, all these things to own a car. To where, we used to have one car per family, then went 2, 3. We're gonna go back to one car family or none, because what's the point? If I'm working from home, don't have far to go, I can just Uber there, And what's gonna happen to all these giant interstates? Think about it, when they can redo some of these interstates into office districts or housing districts when nobody's using the freeway anymore. That was a big rabbit hole for me to go down too, that people are actually thinking about this stuff. Go Google it. Don't take my, I know a lot of people are gonna say, you're crazy. Go Google it. Go down the rabbit hole. Comment down below. Argue with everybody in the comment section. That's how you learn. That's how ideas are spread. I know a lot of people will be like, oh, well, that's crazy. You're crazy. I'm like, but did you read about it? Did you think about it? Did you look at it? It's coming. These things are coming. AI is coming. All these things are going to revolutionize how we look at these industries. And the next 10, 15 years is going to be very interesting. Pay attention, pay attention. Lastly, in conclusion, look at the junk fees on top of paying for all your utilities. Your service fees for using a credit card, that's what they tell you, for using a debit card, anything besides checks. But here's the thing, like, oh, well, just use a check or just use a debit card. What's the problem? And then you get hacked. Okay, City of Pensacola got hacked the other day. It was probably a couple months ago. Sent me a letter saying your private information has now been hacked. It's all over the internet. So every time you use your personal banking information, it gets hacked. Like, because these municipalities are not protecting any of your financial data. I have lifetime a LifeLock, or one of those companies government sent me back in the day, because everybody at the DoD got their stuff hacked from their security clearances. None of your stuff is safe. As somebody that recently got our bank accounts liquidated and hacked because good old YouTube, your stuff is not protected. You got to think about it when you pay for all your utilities. You've got to think that my banking information might be susceptible to this. So would I rather pay the junk fees, and then hence the junk fees by using a credit card? When you book a room, junk fee. When you pay for at a restaurant, now they're doing a garbage tax on some of these. Go to Chick-fil-A, $1 I think it is for getting rid of your paper bag or using your paper bag. I ordered takeout the other day, and they charged me a takeout fee for the containers and the forks and the napkins and everything. I'm like, well, isn't that part of me just saying I order on the menu and that's what you give me? No, they gave you the food, then they charge you for the containers and the plastic. So what do you think about this stuff, guys? Like, do you think I'm wrong? I'm just venting here as a person just like you. What are we doing? Comment down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And I think I'm gonna do a video next on car insurance. Mine went up 30%. Mine went up 50%. That's nuts on just my silver truck. Had it for, 10 years. Isn't that wild? Slowly, one thing after another. And after a while, I'm just like, I got to talk about this. I got to vent. I need y'all to start talking about this, because they're getting away with it by us not talking about it. Start a revolution. Start a little pushback on this stuff, civilly, saying, hey, we're not going to take it. Just like Twisted Sister said a long time ago. See you guys later.